So we were getting ready to film, and we were walking back and forth, bringing the equipment into the studio here, and one of our members was taking the TrackMan Combine.
Yep.
And he was on the driver phase of the Combine. And like all of us have done at one point or another, you know, when you've got a long club in your hand and you want to add some speed to it, start to overswing. And it's a killer for everyone who's ever played golf. There's a certain point there where you're swinging too much, overdoing things, where you start to see a diminishing return on your investment for effort. We're going to show you 3 very simple things you can do to kill the overswing in your swing and help you hit the ball not only longer, but straighter as well, being a more compact, more tighter golf swing. So if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us tremendously. It allows us to buy more tacos.
Pizza? Now that's what I call a taco.
To make more videos for you guys and help you with your golf game. The first overswinging thing we see, and we saw it setting up today to film, was an overturn of the body. Because I think golfers just in general have this idea that the arms should be passive. So if the arms are passive and you're trying to add speed to the shot, it just means more body motion, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, we lump it in together for an overswing, an overturn, let's call it. And
overturn.
A lot of times it happens when you've been taught that there's no arm motion and it's just body moves and you're trying to lock everything in. The interesting part about that, they turn so big that they still end up losing control of the arms and the club. So it doesn't really even accomplish what they think it's accomplishing.
Correct.
But it does. We've measured so many swings and gears now. It's super common for golfers to lose any kind of connection with the ground, and they just think that cranking the body around as far as they can is somehow going to help them hit it longer. And it actually makes them hit it shorter.
I heard an instructional video. Who said it doesn't matter, just that it's out there being said, that to hit it longer, turn your hips 90 degrees and lock your trail leg.
Yeah, it's just
and that would be about the textbook way to overturn.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that whole 3/4 of the golf swing you spent getting in that spot, you now have 1/4 of that time to get out of that and hopefully get open. And you ain't doing that if you turn your pelvis 90 degrees.
So you've got maybe 90 degrees of total hip pelvis motion to play with from
closed to open.
Yeah, so you know what I mean by that is 45 on the backswing, and let's just say 45 at impact. You've got 90 degrees in a 0.75 seconds.
90 degrees is the high end. I'd say between 75 and 95 degrees. Yeah.
And if you use it all up on the backswing, you're not going to have any to play with on the downswing, so you're not able to get in that kind of tour-looking impact position.
So a good drill to make sure you're not overswinging is we like this staggered stance drill.
People, when I show them this, they're like, that's it with the hips?
Yeah, it's that 45-degree turn you just demonstrated, it comes fast.
Yeah, so my favorite one is the staggered stance. So take your normal stance. You can just cross your arms up here for now. And drop your lead foot back so it's in line with your trail heel. And I'll do it from down the line here to show you. And what you're going to do, you're going to put some weight on that trail foot. And you're going to keep the leg pretty stable, right? And you're just going to turn the left shoulder across, keeping your head fairly still. Turn the left shoulder across, keeping this leg stable, and you're going to feel a wind up here in your trail hip, kind of where the glute is here on the side of your
That's for a lot of you, that's going to be a new feeling. That's internal rotation on the trail hip.
Yeah, internal rotating into this trail hip, internally rotating. Now, if I do that, and you just put my left foot on the ground, my belt is about over my right big toe. Yep. That's about 45 degrees. I've done this a million times on gears too to see what this does for people. And it puts them in that pretty good range. And that's a totally different positioning of the hip with some tilt and the correct knee bends than if someone just, we call it spinning the pelvis. So there's a difference. Are you internally rotating into the trail hip, or are you spinning the pelvis?
We call that an ankle pivot, where I can just kind of twist my ankles around and there's almost no end to how much I can go.
And it's a night and day difference how much better you can utilize the ground and light these force plates up that we spent $40,000 on to measure these kind of things so we could help you out there. There's a world of difference between a spinner and someone who internally rotates correctly into the trail leg and can really get some giddy up in the pelvis coming out of the top of the swing.
Now, a lot of you are going to do this for the first time and demonstrating what Shaun was just doing. You're going to turn here and think, your brain's just going to say, there's no way that's a backswing.
Yeah.
So you're going to kind of roll the ankle, roll the knee, And when you put your foot up, you're going to kind of be back to where you came from. At 45, again, 45 is just pointing my belt buckle over my big toe. Like that happens pretty darn quickly.
So now look, when you do that, I'll put the club down for a minute. When you do that motion, right, and then just let your arms swing up from there, so they kind of up here above your shoulder, so your trail arms here are parallel to the ground. That's the arm swing that you need to correspond to this new pivot that you have. You have to let your arms have some freedom because you're not using this crazy turn to swing the arms back there.
Well, that brings us into the second thing now. So we've got a out of sequence movement, which stems or starts with the overswinging to where we get up to the top now. I've turned my body a bunch. Now my arms, because they didn't do anything early, just kind of both arms flow. We've had a lot of gears golfers where both arms are about like that at the top. Usually the hand let go of the grip. So now there's no middle part to the swing. It's just end of range of motion, everything, and then everything comes out and it goes out and away from me right off the bat. And that's not good for distance.
Yeah, it's just kind of double elbow bend. And, it's so funny. I used to teach a guy years ago, unnamed. Not a bad
John Doe.
Not a bad iron swing, but first time in history I saw a person bounce the club
off the shoulder,
and he could make contact. And it was almost like a trick
impressive.
shot.
It's impressive.
He was using that, because he thought he needed a longer backswing. Someone told him to take it back farther. But anyways, it's a funny story that someone could even play like that. But the thought is out there. I need to go back so far that you start overbending the elbows, overflexing the wrist. Now, like Mike said, when I grab that, because of the way I position my arms and my wrist, I'm going to grab it, and that automatically is going to throw that club out away from me too much. So the club head gets outside your hand soon, the casting, and from there you're just forced to kind of arm it, I would say.
Just about every one of you watching this video is going to hit the ball better, meaning straighter and longer, by having more width than just making the club head drop behind you any old way. Because most of us aren't physically capable of doing a John Daly, Jake Knapp type move where you keep all that width, but still have the club arced around.
Yeah, the funny part about that is too, like I still listen to Butch Harmon 100 years ago in a video. He said most people in their mind, they have a distance that they know they hit their irons.
Right, 8 iron goes whatever.
The driver, they all of a sudden think it's unlimited.
To infinity and beyond.
Yes.
So they just make this crazy swing because, there's no limit to this thing. So still swing within yourself like you would with an iron. And a lot of times you'll hit it out of the center of the face and get more distance. So all that stuff kind of ties together.
Okay, so what's a good drill for this sequencing part? It's has to do with the lower body again. It's adding a step to this to kind of hone all this together rather than everything going in a backswing and then everything going in the downswing. We're going to add a middle part to the swing.
You lose the transition motion.
Right.
So, this is an old drill that we've done a million times, and we keep kind of improving how we teach it. But, you don't need a ball at first, but I would encourage you to use maybe a foam ball because we like to have you hit at something we've kind of upgraded our knowledge over the years. You want to be practicing swinging at something. So you forced to kind of square the face.
Well, you have an object down there, and we've even just with sprayed chalk on the ground, just so you can have, even it's a two-dimensional something, but it's something down there.
Yeah, the learning transfers a lot better when you're having to brace for the hit, basically. So if I put the ball there, I'm not going to hit this. I don't want to kill Mike. But anyways, I would take my normal stance, feet together, pulled my lead foot to my trail foot, and put the club between my feet. What I'm going to do, I'm going to swing the club back, right? As it gets up to about shoulder height, I'm going to step forward, keeping my back to the target. You're basically backing into the shot. So that's going to naturally, once that hits, there might be a little stretch there, but that's basically the end range for where you're going to go. There'll be a little more in the arms, but once that lands and you land closed, you can unwind into the shot. And if you do it right, your swing will naturally shorten because it's very difficult just to go out and shorten your swing. It is.
It is.
I mean,
just trying to put your arms in a shorter spot.
It really can destroy your timing, especially if you've been using a lot of that slop.
Yeah.
So this is a way to shorten your swing with a better sequence, which is the way to do it.
Now, there are two ways to do this drill poorly where you won't get the benefit from. The first is, so get my stance, bring it over, is time my step when I can't make any more backswing. We see this all the time, though. And then step. That's no good. You want to allow this dynamic change of direction to control how long the swing is.
Leave some slack in the
So
system,
it's
basically.
here, I can't
you
go back to here.
Yeah.
It feel really weird. And then the second thing is to kind of do we call it dipping the toe in the pool, where I'm still 100% balanced on this foot. That's not a step. I want you to, here, step. I'm putting weight, mass, pressure on this front leg. That's what changes directions. That's what your swing is missing right now if you're overswinging.
It's such an underrated way to learn to swing the club. You know, when I'm playing my best golf, I really do feel like my hands are a vice on the grip. There's a hinge there, but I'm not trying to manipulate the club at all. I'm letting the sequence and timing and the releasing of all these angles because of how I'm moving, let that hit the ball instead of me trying to like steer the ball. And I play my best golf like that. And I think at the highest levels, that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, and then the final thing that overswinging does to you is it robs you of the center of the club face. And we've charted this for years. Golfers who overswing by either and or overturning the pelvis, having no middle to the swing, struggle to consistently hit the middle, which that in and of itself is a distance killer and directional killer.
Yeah, I mean, I was around David Toms for many years, and people would always ask him, well, give me one tip. You know, give me one. He's like, just hit the middle of the face, you'll be fine.
It's
I mean,
so underrated.
It's something even now, you know, you ask somebody where they hit it on the face in a lesson and they can't tell you. So go out and buy some Dr. Scholl's foot spray it on, start tracking where you're hitting it, and notice, you know, if you start changing the swing and shorten it using some of these things that we're describing, you'll start to see yourself hitting the center of the face more often.
Yeah, and a good drill to kind of help you practice that is by taking the dominant hand out of it. So we love doing these open right-handed drills.
Yeah, this is probably one of those drills you can't do enough of.
Yeah, and it's just taking your right hand. Now don't cheat it. This is where a lot of golfers will try to cheat it and they don't think we can see. We got 10 high-speed cameras, 2 down the line face on, and 4 eyeballs in here watching, and we can always see when it cheated. So really kind of have your hand like that, where you're going to make swings where your right arm has to move properly, but it can't take over or do all sorts of weird stuff. It's got to move in conjunction with the body and the lead arm.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, you know, just in addition to that, you know, try to maintain it all the way to the finish.
Right.
Otherwise, your body will stall and you start ripping this hand off. So just don't hit the ball hard with this drill. Just practice it and you'll start to feel if things get out of whack, your hands will start slipping off the club. And it's just great for getting a sense of where your arms and wrists should be.
It's a very difficult drill to do and hit a ball solidly. That's why it's a great drill to do if you struggle with hitting the middle of the face.